Okay, here we are, the Simanim for Perek Aleph of Berachos, our first Simanim together. Here we go. We go from Daf Beis down to Yud Gimel. And again, I took a topic from each Amud ideally and just put it together. We're going to create the titles, and then we'll talk about how to remember them. Okay, here goes. Daf Beis, called Kriya Shema Ba'arvis, that's our first Mishnah. And then we have the issue of the Kohen and Echilos Truma, and whether that's the same time as the Ani eats. So I have the night Shema and the Kohen and poor person. Okay? Daf Gimel, I chose Mishmaros, Rabbi Eliezer Shita, and clarifying how long are the Mishmaros and why does he mention the idea of Mishmaros and what happens during the night when Hashem calls out. And then we have Shenas David. We talk about David HaMelech sleeping, and when he slept, did he sleep, what he did during the night. That's Daf Gimel, Mishmaros and Shenas David. Daf Daled, we continue with David HaMelech. That's when he says Chasid Ani and clarify why he called himself a Chasid and whether that makes sense. It seems a contradiction later on, we'll see. And then we have the Chachamim and Chatzos. Who are they holding, like Rabbi Yazur, Rabbi Gamliel, and various issues related to saying the Kriya Shema before davening and so on. So it's David HaMelech, I'm a Chassid, and the idea of midnight by the Chachamim. Daf Hey is Kriya Shema al Mita, that's at the very top. And then we get into the topic of Yisurin Shel Ava. So we have the bedtime Shema and afflictions. And Daf Vav, we get into Mazikin, the idea of demons, and how many there are, and what impact they have on us. And we also talk about davening the Beis Knesses and issues related to being in shul and so on. Davening shul, getting to minyan. Now, there's a lot of other things mentioned on these dapim, but our goal at this point is just to have a title to help trigger and help us access the other material that's on the daf. So the goal right now is not to remember everything, but it's to remember something so eventually we can remember everything. Okay, so now let's review and figure out how we're going to remember the material that's on each daf, how we're going to connect the topics to the actual daf. So we're going to use a memory system called the PEG system. It's a very effective system. It's a lot of fun. So here we go. And of course, you can do whatever you want, but this is what I do to help me remember Simanim. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. Every single daf is going to get a standardized siman. So for example, daf Beis is a bayis, is a house. So we're going to use a house for every daf Beis. It'll be a standard symbol for a daf Beis. Gamal is a camel, so we're going to use a camel. Dalet is a door, so where are you going to use a door for every daf Dalet? A hay is a haystack. All right, that's what I came up with years ago, so I use that haystack. A vav is 6, it's like sticks, and it looks like a stick, so we'll use sticks for a vav. So from this point on, these will be our standardized simanim, or these are my standardized simanim for every daf from Beis to vav. Now we're going to connect the topics on each daf to the daf itself. So for example, Daf Beis, we said, deals with Kriya Shema Ba'arvis and the Kohen and the Ani. So why don't we picture in our mind's eye a Kohen and an Ani walking into a house at night to eat a meal, and before they sit down at the table, they say Kriya Shema Ba'arvis. Okay, so that'll be our picture for Daf Beis. A Kohen and Ani walking into a house and eating a meal, but before they do, they're saying Kriya Shema Ba'arvis. Now Daf Gimel we associated to a Gamal, as a camel, and the topics were the Mishmaros Balayla and Shenas David, the night watches and David HaMelech sleeping. So why don't we imagine, now this is going to get a bit goofy, but goofy is king when it comes to memory. So I'm going to do it. Here goes. That the camels are dressed up. Let's imagine camels dressed up as guards, mishmaros, at night, and they're braying like donkeys because that was the first symbol or sign that we're going to the first mishmar at night. So the camels braying, dressed up like a guard, and nevertheless, it's the sweet sound of the harp that wakes up David HaMelech. So David sleeping and being woken up. Okay. Dalet is a door. The topics were Chasid Ani and Chatzot. So why don't we imagine, being that we're talking about David HaMelech, we go through a palace door, and there's David HaMelech saying Chasid Ani, Ki Chasid Ani, and the clock strikes 12 Chatzot, and everybody in the kingdom has already said Kriya Shema Ba'arvis. They didn't get distracted. Okay? Hay is a haystack. Now, Daf Hey deals with Kriya Shema al Mita and Yisurin. This one's pretty easy. Imagine someone going to sleep on a bed of hay, which is very uncomfortable, so they're also being afflicted. So that's Kriya Shema al Mita, and they're saying Shema on a bed of hay, and it's very uncomfortable, so we have Yisurin. And finally, Daf Vav is sticks, where the topics were Mazikin and Beis Knesses, the demons and davening in shul. So why don't we imagine people picking up their sticks, trying to beat off the Mazikin, and they're running to shul to make it to minyan on time. All right, so those are our simanim. Now let's check and do a little review and see if this works. Okay, so we're going to erase it all. And here it goes. Okay, Daf Beis is a Bais is a house. What was our simon? It was the Konanani walking to the house, about to have a meal, but they say Kriya Shema at night first. Okay, Gimel is a Gamal, is a camel. What was our simon? We have the camels dressed up as guards mishmaros, and they're braying, but they're not waking up David HaMelech. It's only the kinor, the harp, that wakes up David HaMelech. Then we have Daf Dalet as a door. You open up the palace door, and there you see David HaMelech saying Chasid Ani, and we have the clock striking 12, and everybody in the kingdom has already said Kriya Shema at night. Daf Hey is a haystack, and we have the topics being Kriya Shema Amita. You're going to sleep on a bed of hay saying Kriya Shema, and it's uncomfortable, so there's Yisurin. And Daf Vav is sticks, so we can imagine picking up our sticks, beating off the Mazikin, and running into shul to make it a minyan on time. Okay, now I'm going to cover up this Simanim. I'm going to do it out of order. Are you ready? Here goes. Daf Gimel. The topics were Mishmaros, dressed up as guards, and Shenas David HaMelech sleeping. Daf Hey, that's sleeping on a bed of hay, Kriya Shema Amita, and it's uncomfortable Yisurin. Daf Beis, you can picture the Kohen and Ani walking to the house saying Kriya Shema Ba'arvis. Daf Vav sticks, that is the beating off the Mazikin and running into shul. And Daf Dalet, you're opening up the palace door, beautiful palace door, and you're there. David HaMelech is proclaiming Ki Chasid Ani, Machasid, and the big clock says Chatzot, and everybody in the kingdom has said Kriya Shema at night properly, before Chatzos. Okay, so we have our first 5 Simanim. Mazel Tov. I want you to practice. It takes time. If it doesn't go in the first time, try a second time, a third time, a fourth time, a fifth time, sixth time. Doesn't matter how many times you're going to get there, but just do it now. Get these 5 down, and the workload from this point is pretty easy because we're just going to add 1 a day. Okay? And you will see over time that the material is going to build. So if you're scratching your head and saying, what, this is it? How am I going to remember the daf from this? Not to worry. Let's just give it time. This is a great start. This is Avram Goldar wishing you a great day and great learning.